Welcome back, Ninja community, and persons who have watched my quality statement and disclaimer video. If you haven't seen that already, you should probably check that out. I'm going to cover some weapon placement and etiquette, some ninja stories as to why you want to carry it that way, or why I would want to carry it that way. I have something to read, but I'm going to only read half. Alright. The viewer understands my quality statement and disclaimer video. Additionally, this video could be treated as is with ballistic protection. That means it don't have a seal on it, therefore I don't guarantee it, nor the techniques, etc. This is also my intellectual property that I'm allowing other people to view. Okay, so weapon placement, etiquette, and function. I'm going to tell some ninja stories that might have some truth to it, or just could be my own intellectual property. Alright. First off, I don't teach Yoshikai, even though I've been trained by a black belt in Yoshikai, but I didn't train in a dojo or have a belt level in Yoshikai. So I don't teach Yoshikai. I don't teach American Tiger Karate, even though I've had lessons from a Shihan. That's a 10th degree black belt in American Tiger. I don't teach Brazilian style Jiu-Jitsu, even though I've had some lessons from a Gracie, volunteered as his dummy. I don't teach Silat, even though I've been to Persia and trained with a guru. The ones I've mentioned previously, I'm not an instructor in those styles. I don't teach those styles. I don't teach Krav Maga, even though I've had some training from Israeli SF. I'm not an instructor in Krav Maga. Therefore, I don't teach it, nor show it. I don't teach Bujinkai Ninjutsu, even though I've had some training from a black belt, not an instructor level black belt, but I've had some training. I don't teach it. I don't teach Jeet Kune Do, that's Bruce Lee's style. I'm not an instructor in Jeet Kune Do. I don't teach Kempo or American Kempo. I'm not an instructor in Kempo. I don't teach Wing Chun. I've had some lessons, probably only one official lesson, but I don't teach Wing Chun. Nor will I reveal anything I've learned from that establishment. I don't teach Northern Star Mantis. I've had lessons from someone who claimed to not be an instructor, but I don't teach that style. Nor do I teach any other traditional or recognized martial arts style. Okay? Because I'm not an instructor in those styles. The content on this video is considered my intellectual property. Again, going back to as is with ballistic protection, that means if you shouldn't have ballistic protection, then you shouldn't be watching this video. Additionally, if you use my content or watch my content with the intention of committing a crime, it is a crime. I've seen some instructors out there of establishments teaching a few things here and there. First off, safety glasses. Okay, they don't look like this. This could break and hurt your eye, okay? You could get an improvised injury that way, okay? Safety glasses, and I can't really can't stress this enough. Safety glasses, they look like this, okay? If you're training, I highly advise against training with real weapons, especially training at full contact with a sparring partner, okay? But if you don't heed my advice to that, training with weapons is highly dangerous. I advise against it, but I highly suggest safety glasses. Okay, they look like this. I'm not sponsored, so I won't mention the brand, but these have definitely went through some of the worst parts of Afghanistan. I'll move on. Weapon placement. Alright, weapon placement. Now, I might have some disagreements on some basics of function of other people's theories, or etc. I have my own theories. Like one, I believe that, I'll have to do this someday. I believe that the Ito Shuriken, the nail of that era, was used as a melee weapon, and that is why it could be found, possibly, could be found, if someone was to look at a grave of the Ito era, if nails of that era are found in Ito era graves. Alright. As an improvised melee weapon. It could also be thrown, which is probably the precursor to ninja stars. Right? They might have found out how effective it is at just smacking someone in the eye with something nail-shaped. Or pointy. Back to eye protection. See, they changed the way these right here are made, specifically for training incidences in dojos. Alright? There is no other reason of why they changed that. Because people were getting parts of their muscles torn. Alright? Now, I know no one is watching this video yet. However, I will leave this video up for if and when somebody wishes to watch it. Okay? A lot of these safety tips could probably help prevent injuries, because training weapons could be purchased a lot cheaper. Like they make weapons specifically for training. And those weapons could be purchased, in my opinion, a lot cheaper than hospital visits. Alright, moving on. Oh. Here we are. Alright. I don't know if you can see that right there. Right. Alright. Now see, that's obvious. This is not a concealed weapon. Okay. If you conceal a weapon, like a ninja would, okay, you want it easy to get to, and you don't want to have to hurt your hand when you go to get it. Again, if you are watching my video with the intention of committing a crime, or you use my materials to commit a crime, it is a crime, additionally. So yeah, if a ninja had a concealed weapon, right, it should be something easy to get to, and shouldn't hurt you when you go to get it. Like, if you had a very large knife, right? A very large knife. Okay? if I had an expensive jacket, I wouldn't want to get the inside of it torn up. That would be bad. Also, you might hurt yourself. Okay. Weapon placement, etiquette, weapon placement. Weapon placement with a sai. Oh, here we are. Well, I just dropped that one, didn't I? Under the collar. That would not be very bright to walk around with a gurot around the neck, even if it's under the collar. A sai would not typically be carried in here. Okay, even if you can conceal it, it takes too much time to get to it. All right? These were originally carried in threes. They were before they were carried as a weapon, they were a farming tool. I don't know if you can see it. Here we are. All right. I had my other one. I'm working on a little art project with it. I'll wrap the handle. All right. The sai was originally used as a farming tool. And when it became a weapon, or recognized as a weapon, it was carried in threes or more. The first one was usually thrown. A highly effective improvised weapon made into a highly effective self-defense weapon, self-defense tool. All right. It would be carried in threes. Here, usually one in the back, or several in the back. It can be drawn fairly quickly. That is the point of weapon placement and etiquette. If a ninja was to discover some new weapon, if they made some new functioning weapon that was nifty, a ninja would evolve to figure out how he would use it, or she. Okay? So this weapon would probably be carried like this. Right? Now I'm wearing my knife right here. This is not concealed. This is out in front. Okay? As opposed to it being carried near the pocket. The pocket is actually closer to being a concealed weapon. Being up front, it is not concealed. Most people would typically take this attire, right? A knife, not a weapon, but a knife, worn here as to, keep your, respect space, right? Going to etiquette and shinobi or shadow warrior. Going to some of the etiquette. Now, some people who actually knows what they're talking about, will probably wonder, how does he know this? Okay. Etiquette is to put the strongest or best fighter to the right as they're walking. Right? Some would explain that this is because they can draw their sword much more easily. However, I don't believe, these are my opinions, I don't believe that that is entirely the case. Let's see if I can get the sword here. Now, the sword, as people of the art of empty hand, or the art of the punching and kicking way, would believe that the katana must always be carried edge up. Now, I agree that it should be carried edge up like this in times of peace. However, I think that is as unpractical as as carrying a gurot around your neck. Okay. Also, in times of war, I believe that the katana was carried edge down and lower than the waist. And without armor, higher than the waist, but still edge down. Okay? And the reason is because the Nagasashi and the Nagamaki were primary weapons of war of the Edo era. Typical movements would interfere with their secondary weapon. Now, the katana was originally only carried by people of a certain caste. Okay? It would be kind of like how a commissioned officer would wear a pistol. I don't have a Nagamaka, but I do have an improvised shovel handle. Okay? Now, if I was carrying a shovel handle as my weapon, it would just simply be like this, with a walking stick. Or if that was my weapon, the etiquette would be as a walking stick. I'm going to demonstrate a poem which is in my other videos. And feel free to check out my other videos here. Feel free to comment below. Feel free to hit like a ninja as many times and as hard as you want. Alright, I'm going to demonstrate a ninja poem. And it is, as a root I stand, I step through, see the blood, see the rain, blood red. Okay. Now, this poem is an ambiguous motion that can be used with the Nagamaka and the Nagasashi. The primary weapons of battle of the Edo era. Now, if the Nagamaka, when it wasn't being used to execute criminals, was the primary weapon. Okay? Now, why the katana was carried edge down in battle, as it is portrayed in the Edo era artwork, is because it would interfere with the primary weapon. Right? Typical movements of the Nagamaka, it would slightly interfere. And a lot of the other movements in the Nagamaka would interfere. Okay? So weapon etiquette is in times of peace. Yes, the katana was carried edge up, just as do people of the art of empty hand and the art of the punching and kicking way believe. However, I believe the katana was carried edge down in armor when it was in war, or edge down and above without armor when it was in war. Now, let's see, when passing, mostly anyone on the road, the etiquette was that the most skilled warrior was walking to the right. Okay? Because the most skilled warrior could draw his weapon more easily. Aha! How come in most arts they carry it edge up? The way they draw would not interfere with someone off to their left or to their right. But if it was carried differently, it would, with the exception of returning the blade, probably improvisingly killing your traveling companion. Okay. The exception to walking with the strongest and most skilled warrior to the right was if you were passing by the emperor, whereas these are, I guess these are my opinions. When passing the emperor, or if the emperor was moving, or one of his personal warriors, warriors that walk in his shadow, or his shadow warriors, would be walking, and people would know based on their attire. The strongest warrior would walk to the farthest away. They would pass walking from the left side, right to right, typically, right? Like how they drive vehicles over in other parts of the world. Okay? So the strongest warriors would see each other as they pass, with the exception of the emperor and his warriors that walked in his shadow, that also did not speak higher than the emperor, and it was common practice for them, in my opinion, to speak as little as possible in his presence. When people saw a warrior of the emperor's shadow, my opinion, it would be about as intimidating as someone walking around with a blade up front, or the attire displaying the okay, let's not let this video get mentioned. Okay, so the reason is that a warrior of the emperor's shadow could easily bind up opponents. They typically would use a weaker fighter as their own weapon or shield. This is why when you're passing the emperor, or my opinions, when you're passing the emperor, and oftentimes they would stop and wait for the emperor to pass. But they would put the strongest warrior away. Additionally, most forms or fighting styles do not practice fighting right forward, or they do not practice fighting, usually do not practice fighting like a right forward versus a left forward, or a left forward versus a right forward stance, putting I guess moving on. It's difficult to explain. Okay. And in their traditions of those arts, it is considered improper. Just as though it would be considered improper for the strongest warrior to be nearest the emperor or his personal guard as they passed. Okay? It is part of the art. Now, I have my own opinions of why this is considered proper etiquette. Okay? The emperor's weapons, or his own shadow warriors, or warriors that walked in his shadows, right? They fought in that manner, and it was expressly forbade to be able to learn how to fight against them. Okay? Now, see, I don't teach like other styles. Okay? Most martial arts have similarities. How about this one? In just about every martial arts style, they teach how to hold a fist like this, right? And make these gloves up. In most martial arts styles, including boxing, even though I've done some boxing before, I was never even particularly good at it. I did it like less than 2 years, about 2 years. I was never even particularly good at it compared to people who have been boxing for like 6, especially when I first started learning how to box. Okay, and I have learned a little bit from a golden glove. Okay, but I don't teach boxing. Okay, I don't teach other arts. But a similarity in just about every style is to hold the fist. Now, does this make every style the same? No. It's just there are certain reasons why an art form does what it does and why there are certain reasons why there are similarities. Okay? Now, I wouldn't teach a chain punch of Wing Chun Kung Fu, okay? Because I'm not an instructor in Wing Chun. I know a similar version that has nothing to do with that form, okay? Also, let's see. The closest thing would be, like, say, a punch, right? This form here, where I'm holding my serpent to my cheek, where the serpent kisses the cheek, right? This is proper form of the non-recognized traditional martial arts style, not recognized Chinese or Japanese traditional martial arts style that I use, and I have not seen made recognized. Okay, so I teach what I teach, and it is not part of a traditional Chinese or Japanese martial arts style. So if you see a traditional recognized Chinese or Japanese martial arts style of, say, a typical Southern Chinese Kung Fu, it is very likely that they would argue that this right here would be an improper form. And in their style, it would be. Because the idea would be to allow room and also not expose a softer part of your hand. Now there might be other forms. I'm only referring to one in particular. Okay. So this movement, right, which is also ambiguous to whether I have a weapon or I don't, or have similar weapons without drastically altering the movements, this movement is particular to what I teach and is my intellectual property. Or, let me just keep going, okay? In the form I practice, okay, as a serpent offers the flower, or let's see, I don't remember the exact poem, but I'll just do the movement. Right about here, the function is to grab as you're punching. That is the similar, that is the similarity it has, but it is not the same. At no point would, well, if you want to learn Wing Chun, chain punching, learn from a Wing Chun martial arts school, okay? Another martial artist would see the function, the etiquette, like why is it done the way it's done, okay? From here, as you're pulling back, ideally, you would grab their arm as they're throwing a punch, right? And come across the top of theirs, hitting them, as you're pulling them into it, okay? Now, if a recognized Kung Fu style were to try, or even a art of empty hand were to try to do something like a foot pin, and if you want to learn a foot pin, I suggest you go to learn from them. However, I will demonstrate how my non-recognized art would escape such a foot pin. All right? It would be a poem, a ninja poem of the, I can remember it. It has something to do with the water ebbs and flows. So the water ebbs and flows, pivots from the toe, not from the heel. It pivots from the toe. And they don't have anything similar to this, to my knowledge. Okay? The motion here would simply escape a poorly executed foot pin, especially if their toes was oriented towards my center line. Okay? See, it's not quite so, flattering if someone was to point out potential weaknesses or make it public knowledge of weaknesses given in art, if there are any. Okay, now going back to etiquette. The Royal Guard, these are just stories, just story time. I don't know. Maybe I was really trained by a real shinobi. Or maybe I'm just extremely brilliant. Either way, I most definitely know what I'm talking about here. Okay? But just to my theories. When passing the Emperor, or particularly if he was to train to fight against a Royal Guard or warrior in the Emperor's shadows, they typically were forbidden by tradition of fighting against a mirror image, like a right forward versus a left forward, or a, excuse me, this is my right forward, okay? This would be my left forward, okay? They would typically be forbidden to fight in a, now if you're ever training with weapons or even doing demonstrations, I highly suggest that you wear boots, okay? Highly suggest, especially with these, even though they've modified them to, that's it. Even though if they've modified them to not be as pointy, and they even changed the curve, and I highly advise against sparring at full contact with real weapons, because they make training weapons, again, that are cheaper than hospital visits, typically. Okay? I guess I can go ahead and do my focus. Okay? Just, let's see, where was I at here? Trying to remember where I was at. Where was that? Okay. Usually, even trained fighters, if they would fight against any of the warriors that walk within the Emperor's shadow, they would most definitely not have much of a chance. The warriors of the Emperor's shadow was, like, any one of them could have harmed him and killed him within a second, right? But their loyalty was nearly absolute. Let's see. Oh, this that motion that I showed you from the punch here, right? Where it does this motion and comes back, right? or goes this motion like that. Again, the motion has to be I have a comma here, right, which was originally used to cut cut down rice, right, rice plants, rice chaff. Okay, the motion of that very same one, right, would very likely go like this and still back here, right, and come back this way as a punch. The motion must be ambiguous for it to be within the form I practice. To pick up different things from other forms, it would not be part of that art. It would be an individual's writing style. Here, so it would be here, right? Which my form practices. I was wrong on some of my other videos about there being only one close fist punch, technically. Technically there is a close fist punch with like a hammer fist, right? And a lead quick cut, right? From here. That's diagonally. The diagonal punch, right? And let's see. The other one is just a punch to the throat. I don't think I should have said that. All right. Hey, and with the hammer fist holds like this, right? Let's see. The other few punches does this. Let's see. With the fingers that. All right. So here, punch, right? As you can see, I'm not drastically altering the movement. The move can be slightly modified. Otherwise, if you drastically modify it, it's not part of the non-recognized art that I use. That is not a traditional Japanese or Chinese martial art style. For me to try to get it recognized, I would probably have to spend about $300 on a trademark, practice it with a lot of scrutiny for about a decade, join a martial arts federation, and compete against other forms. And let's see, probably degrade the art by modifying it in order to compete, much like how, what is it called? Pancake salat. Much like pancake, my opinion of pancake salat is that it was modified specifically to compete against other art forms by adding high kicks. And I say this because you can't throw high kicks on a Chinese jump boat. You could, but you'd probably fall down a lot. So the high kicks from pancake salat, I believe, was added just to facilitate martial arts competitions. Okay, going back to weapon etiquette. Weapon etiquette. Okay. A dagger. Now, first off, you should probably pay attention to the laws that are within your state. That's my opinion, my advice. Putting something, at one point in time, a machete and an 11-inch kitchen knife for some reason a machete was considered illegal to carry in public places. A tomahawk is perfectly fine. I imagine a hammer is probably also perfectly fine here too. And if I was to improvise using a hammer like a comma, I would probably make do the improvised version, but I would not spar at full contact with a sparring partner. Okay, they put these curves here. They put these curves here on there because of training incidences. Alright. So if you watch my video this far and haven't hit like, please hit like. Pretty hard like a ninja. And subscribe to be alerted when I do random videos. I'll just do this while I talk. Subscribe to be alerted when I do random videos. There's no telling what kind of ninja things I might say or slip out unless I get ninja'd. Alright. Feel free to share my video with other ninja, but not people who ought to be ninja'd, because they might accidentally learn something. And let's see. Concealing, let's see, walking with a concealed dagger. Someone asked me about walking with a concealed dagger. Okay. This, now a lot of things are legal to carry in Alabama, even like sidearms, like pistols. Open carry, if you're the right age, etc., etc. You want to pay attention to the laws within your state. I was carrying a dagger. I would probably carry it much like that. And be highly cautious of drawing it. You don't want to put up your hand. Okay. My keys and my Comic-Con. I keep a Comic-Con on my keychain. That's a good placement for a Comic-Con, and that has a latch on it so that it comes off fairly easy. Okay. Placement for a knife. Well, putting it here kind of makes people act a little weird. Putting it here. And there's some people just want to get up in your business, which is kind of stupid to like try to provoke someone into hurting you. It looks like it'd be some kind of, maybe they should just legalize duels and let Darwinism work out some issues. I didn't mean to say that live. All right, well, share my video with ninjas, but not with people who ought to be ninja'd. Okay, so until next time, stay ninja, my friend. Stay ninja.